There are several ways to flash a Jetson. Here we are going to use a USB drive to flash JetPack 7.2 onto a Jetson Orin Nano SD card. There's a troubleshooting tip at the end of the video that most people don't know about. If you want to see other methods or configurations, let me know in the comments below. Let's take a look at the Getting Started guide. I'll leave a link in the description. Reading the whole thing through before you start will save you some headaches. This process has changed since JetPack 6. Instead of creating a micro SD card, we'll use a USB flash drive. The thumb drive needs to be 16 gigabytes or larger. We're going to download an ISO image and flash it to the drive. We'll then use that drive to flash the Jetson boot drive. One important note here. You must have JetPack 6 firmware already installed on the Jetson before upgrading to JetPack 7. If you do not have that installed already, you'll need to go back and update the firmware. There are instructions linked on the page to help you through that process. The notes about the firmware are a little bit further down the page. Basically, the procedure is to hit the escape key when the splash screen first shows up. That will send you to the UEFI section, where the firmware version is displayed. If the firmware is 36.0 or greater, you're good to go. Scroll down a little, and there's a link to the ISO image to download. The file is about 5 gigabytes, so make sure you have enough room on your machine for it. Let's download the file. It'll take a little while to download, depending on your internet speed. Note that this file, along with the SDK manager and full development support packages, are accessible from the JetPack SDK page. Now we're ready to flash the USB drive from our desktop or notebook computer. Most people use Etcher, which runs on Linux, Macintosh, and Windows. It doesn't run on ARM Linux yet, so we can't prepare it from a Jetson. I'm using a Mac today, just because I'm trying to get the video out quickly. I've already installed it, so let's select the ISO file and pick which drive to flash. You want to pay very close attention here, as it will happily write over whatever drive you point it towards. Be bold, be brave, and know that I will think only a little less of you if you whimper a little before making your choice. Then we're ready to flash. If the drive is large, it will verify your choice. You'll question your choice even harder and worry more that you've done it correctly. Then it's on to the usual permissions gauntlet, verifying that you want to do what you've already explicitly told it to. From there, it takes a few minutes to flash the drive. Once it is finished, remove the drive from the host. Make sure the Jetson Orin Nano is powered down. Place the drive into the Jetson Orin Nano. Connect a keyboard, mouse, and display to the Jetson. You will also need an internet connection after Jetson Linux is installed. Then connect the power to the Jetson. Realize at this point that if you upgrade the firmware on the Jetson, there's no easy way back. You will need a x86 machine to reflash with older firmware. According to the documentation, after booting the Jetson with the USB drive inserted, the system should update its firmware. Let me share my experience. For me, the boot process would seem promising, but failed when preparing for the firmware update. Here are some of the excuses it made. Then the system goes to the next candidate drive and boots. We'll restart the machine. When the splash screen appears, press the escape key. Select the boot manager. What I found to work is to use the boot manager to select the flash drive and hit enter. Then it goes through setting up the firmware update path correctly. Press the Y key to have it update. The firmware will update in 2 passes. The process takes about 5 minutes altogether. Avoid interrupting the process, as what is known as bad things could happen. After the firmware is updated, the system will reboot, ready to install Jetson Linux. Select Install, and now we're ready to pick a boot drive. For the Orin Nano, NVMe, and the microSD are the preferred methods. USB can be tricky if you have other USB peripherals attached. My advice is that even if you are using NVMe, you should make a SD card for a little insurance. Here, we'll select the SD card. I found it helpful if there's actually a SD card properly seated in the reader. Remember that everything will be overwritten. The card should be at least 64 gigabytes. It takes about 20 minutes to flash Jetson Linux. Once finished, the machine will reboot. If it doesn't come up correctly, check the boot order to make sure it booted from the SD card. Then we're ready to start the onboarding experience. I'll skip over this part, but know that I told my usual lies to the machine overlords. Also, this is a good time to make sure you have a working internet connection to the Jetson. Before we install JetPack, we need to do an apt update. We can do an upgrade either before or after the JetPack install. Out of habit, I'm doing it right after the update. The entire process takes around 4 minutes. Now we are ready to install JetPack itself. This will download over 15 gigabytes of packages, so installation time will depend on your connection speed. These times are from a 1 gigabit per second connection. This takes around 20 minutes. Okay, let's see if everything took. That looks good. JetPack 7.2. Wow, 2 for 2, CUDA 13.2. Let's look up the Jetson Linux version. 39.2 is also correct. We're running the 6.8.2 kernel. And finally, we are running Ubuntu 24.04. Firefox is the default web browser, but I prefer Chromium. Let me install that, then I'll install VS Code, which is a go-to if you're planning to use coding agents like Codex or Claude in your IDE. Let's wander over to the VS Code website and download it. We have to make sure to get the ARM Debian version. Once the package is finished downloading, we can install it with dpackage. We can use the Launchpad to find and launch it. Then we're good to start our adventures. Here's a quick tip. If the Jetson has trouble booting a few times in a row, it marks itself unbootable. That's so it won't go into an infinite boot loop. You may see this condition when you're installing new firmware and the system gets into a bad state. If you think you've done everything correctly or have fixed underlying issues, go into the Device Manager menu at boot time, then NVIDIA Configuration, then L4T Configuration. OS change status will be normal if working correctly, but you may see unbootable. You can switch it back to normal, save the setting, and then exit the menus. If everything is set up correctly and all goes well, then the system should come back to life. Thanks for watching.